Hi, this is Roger Conrad, editor of Utility Forecaster. One thing, as I look at the past year, I feel very thankful that we've had yet another very nice set of gains in many of our recommendations. Of course, 2009 was a very explosive year coming off the drop in 2008. But the same themes that carried things up in that year, quality companies, and again, companies that traditionally had been interest rate sensitive, really following economic trends, those things remain very much in place today. One thing I think we do want to take a look at as we go forward will be the extent that companies are borrowing money, and this is a function of what sort of capital projects that they have out there. And this makes, of course, regulatory reviews, rate cases, very important to take a look at. And this will be a major focus of Utility Forecaster going forward. But for the most part, we do have I think some of the favorable trends that were taking place in 2009, 2010 will continue into 2011. One of these is faster dividend growth. I think we're on the right track there. I do think regulation in most of the states is positive, so the companies that do have a lot of capital spending will be recovering their investment. There are a couple of cases out there where I'll be watching very carefully, one of which involving Duke Energy in Indiana. The Edwardsport coal facility, a clean coal facility, integrated gasification combined cycle, which pretty much takes all the pollutants out. The cost of that plant in Indiana has risen quite a bit above what the original estimates were for it. That's raised some question marks as to how much the company will be able to recover of those costs. But the plant does retain quite a bit of support in the state, and I look for a favorable resolution there. But that will be a very much a harbinger or test case that I'll be looking for with regards to regulation around the country. Again, I look forward to faster dividend growth. Interest rates have started picking up a little bit. That means that borrowing conditions aren't quite as good for companies as they might have been as they were last year. But keep in mind that we've had the lowest rates for corporate borrowing in 50 years, stretching out for more than a year. So companies that have really had to go out and issue debt have been able to do so. There's not a lot of refinancing risk. And I think some of the reaction that we've seen over this month to the fact that the Federal Reserve has kept its loose money policy, the fact that Washington has really gone for what I would call a Keynesian economic push, despite the result of the election, with new tax cuts, with extension of the old tax cuts, certainly an extension of this expansionary fiscal policy that we've had the last couple of years. So that's created a reaction in the credit markets. We've seen some backing up of interest rates. I think that will more or less settle down as we get into the rest of the year. And any company that has to do borrowing to create capital spending will still be able to realize some pretty nice rates of return. Good rates of return mean higher dividends, and that means, of course, higher share prices as we go forward. So there's a lot of things to look forward to. I think most of the risk is going to be unique risk with individual companies. That's a pretty good reason to go through your holdings right now. See what's overweighted. Anything that's really shot up, maybe consider paring it back some. That'll eliminate what's called your unique risk, which is the risk of something in an individual company going wrong. But I think, generally speaking, we're going to see some very nice results going forward. The Dow Utility Average has poked over 400 here. Again, that's been a long time coming, but it still leaves the average very far below what the highs were back in 2007. So that augurs, some pretty good gains ahead. Again, for the better companies, they'll be getting more than their share of those gains. So selectivity, balancing out your portfolio. These are some pretty good house cleaning steps you can take as we move into the new year. And in the meantime, have a very good holiday, and I'll look forward to chatting with you next year.